If you care what other people think of you, congratulations, you are a human. And if you came here looking for a magical solution to never care what anybody else thinks about you ever again, that simply doesn't exist. And not caring at all what others think shouldn't really even be the goal, because we're always going to have people in our lives that we're close to and who we care about, whose thoughts and feelings we need to consider as we move through life. Not caring at all would probably make you a person you don't really want to be. And because we're all human, we're all going to have insecurities or things that we perceive as weaknesses or wounds that we have from our past experiences that cause us to worry about what other people are going to think. And that's just our survival instincts kicking in. We want and need to be a part of the tribe, to be accepted, because back in the day, it could quite literally mean death to be rejected from our people. Even though we live in a much different world now, that part of our brain still exists. In my experience, caring what other people think probably isn't something that's ever going to go away completely, especially if you're doing big things in the world. We just want to be able to take action in spite of that worry, in spite of knowing that other people are going to have an opinion about what we do and say and create and share, or even who we are. We want to just do the thing anyways. Start the business, quit the job, leave the relationship, stay in the relationship, publish the post, wear the dress, whatever it is, because you care more about what you think than what anyone else thinks. Something I want to share that had a very significant impact on this area of my life is a quote from Byron Katie's book, 1,000 Names for Joy. And it's this: the worst thing that can happen is that I think you think about me what I think about myself. I remember reading this for the first time many years ago, and it just resonated so deeply with me. Like, holy shit, I'm not actually worried about what other people are thinking about me. I'm worried they're thinking all the worst things that I think about myself. I'm worried you're thinking about the parts of me that I don't like, that I reject, that I haven't fully accepted yet, that I have some self-judgment or even some shame around. And what that quote helped me to realize was that for the most part, there's nothing anyone could think about me that I hadn't already thought about myself. Their thoughts weren't hurting me. My own thoughts were hurting me. And it was this liberation, this freedom from everyone else's thoughts. Like, it was no longer as scary as it once was. There was no mystery around it anymore. It didn't have as much power because all of those other people, while they may have been thinking the same things I was thinking about myself, they were missing so much of the information. Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. Other people haven't lived every moment of your life up until this point. They don't know what it's like to be you, to live in your body, to live inside your mind. They don't know your thoughts or your dreams or your plans or your experiences. They don't know everything about you, and everything they do know is simply an interpretation based on their own life and their own thoughts and their own dreams and plans and experiences and insecurities. What other people think is not the truth. You are the only person who knows the real truth about you. So that's where the journey of healing this began for me. And I say journey because caring less about what other people think isn't an overnight thing. So I want to share 3 steps that really helped me and that I still use sometimes to help me move through it when I'm overly focused on what other people are thinking about me, and it prevents me from taking action. And just a little side note here, sometimes it is helpful to get feedback from other people. Sometimes it's helpful to know how other people perceive you or what they're thinking about you. Sometimes other people can see things you can't see that can really help you. So there is a self-awareness and a discernment around when to let legitimate feedback in and having people around you that you can trust to provide that feedback to you. The first step is getting really specific about who Exactly who are you worried about? A lot of people think it's everyone. They're worried about what everyone on the internet is going to think. But when you stop to really think about it, that's not actually the truth. It's usually specific people. It's mom, it's dad, it's my sister, it's my brother, it's my boss. So you want to get really specific and make an actual list of names of the people you are worried about. When you do this, it's very likely that the list is going to be really short, or you're going to look at it and it's going to be like my list, where it's like Heather from 8th grade who made fun of me one time, or a friend I haven't spoken to in like 5 years who never cared what I had to say when we were actually friends. So why would she care what I have to say now? You'll realize pretty quickly that you actually don't really care what a lot of these people think, or their opinion is really not as important to you as you thought it was, and you'll be able to cross them off the list right away. But there's probably going to be some real people on that list, friends, family members, coworkers, whoever, and you are legitimately concerned about what they're going to think. And that's totally fine and perfectly normal. For these people, there's a few things I do that you can also do. The most challenging would be to just have an honest conversation with them about what you're doing and how you're feeling. Let them know that you care what they think. Just get the elephant out of the room and give them the opportunity to respond, to share how they actually feel, and maybe share any concerns that they may have. In many cases, you'll probably find that this person is not thinking what you thought they were thinking. Maybe they're even supportive, or maybe they'll even be helped by what you're doing. And if they're not, that's okay too. You can use the conversation to set some boundaries or figure out how you can both move forward. Maybe they need to block you or you need to block them. Like, hey, so-and-so, I'm going to be posting some content about my experiences that may be challenging for you to hear. You have my full permission to block my account, and I won't take it personally. For people you're not in touch with anymore, or you can't speak to, or you're not ready to have that real conversation, or maybe they've passed away, but you're still having trouble letting go of what they think, you can write a letter that you'll never send, telling them all the things you would say if it were a real conversation. You could do an empty chair process where you role play an actual out loud conversation with this person as if they were actually sitting across from you. There's all kinds of visualizations or meditations available for things like this. You could try something like cord cutting, which is something that I do pretty regularly, where you symbolically, or even get a real knife or a pair of scissors and visualize cutting the energetic cord from that person to you. You can Google all of these techniques for more information on how to do them, and I'm sure there's a bunch of videos right here on YouTube that would help you out. We really just want to find some way that works for you to clear some of the muck in our minds, the thoughts and energy that we've taken on from these other people. We're spending all this time and energy thinking about what so-and-so is going to think, and we want to get these thoughts out of our head and essentially give those thoughts back to that person. And if this has been helpful so far, please like and subscribe. It really does help people just like you to find these videos, and hopefully it will help them as well. Next, we want to get really specific about what. Exactly what are you worried they're going to think? Just like in the last step, you want to make an actual list of the things you're worried people are going to think about you. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, most of the time, I'm not actually worried about what you are thinking about me. I'm worried that you're thinking all the worst things I think about myself. If I'm worried that people are going to think I'm boring or I talk too slow, well, that's something I've thought of myself and is a part of me that needs some loving attention. I recommend you just speed up the video if you think that. If I'm worried that people are going to be thinking about my weight or my physical appearance, that's something within myself that I likely have some self-judgment or even some shame around. The parts of myself that I fully accept and have no self-judgment around, I don't care what other people think. It doesn't matter what other people think because I've fully accepted those parts of myself. So what I think about me and what I know to be true for me matters more than what anyone else thinks or could ever think. Once you have your list of things, then it's time to start exploring and getting curious about the things on this list. Where do you hold some judgment or shame, or what parts of yourself are you not fully accepting? This part does take some deeper work and healing. I have a video on self-sabotage that talks more about getting curious about these things. Some really great books to start with would be anything by Byron Katie, so A Thousand Names for Joy, or Loving What Is, Terry Cole Whitaker's What You Think of Me Is None of My Business, and Debbie Ford's Dark Side of the Light Chasers is a really good one also. Next, we want to bring focus back to the people we want to help. Just think about the people you want to help. Think about the people that need you, that need your voice and your experience and your insights and your perspective. Think about why you wanted to be a coach or start an online business in the first place. Because if you want to make an impression, if you want to have an impact, if you want to reach the people you're meant to reach, there's a few things you need to really understand. First, you want people to be thinking about you and have a strong opinion about you. Second, you will never be able to control what other people think. And third, not everyone is going to like you or agree with everything you do or say, especially if you're doing the big important things that I know you want to be doing, that you know you're meant for. And I truly understand how scary that feels in the beginning, but if you want to have a large online presence, if you want to be a well-known or well-paid coach, if you want to have an audience that trusts you and will buy from you and will share your content, you need to put yourself out there, your real thoughts and feelings and opinions and experiences. You want to be a little bit polarizing. You need to have an opinion on something. And this is a requirement, not just when we're talking about online business or being a coach. This is a requirement for living a life of purpose, for living the life that you want to live and shining your light and doing your part to heal this world. And please remember that this doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice. I've been doing this for years and I still have to practice. The only way for it to get easier is to just start practicing and keep practicing. Over time, you'll worry less and less what other people think, because the more you practice, the more you refine your message and your brand and your target audience, and the more you get to know yourself, and it becomes easier to take action in spite of what other people might think. And it gets easier to live that version of yourself that you want to live, both online and in real life, regardless of what anyone else might think.